Ladies and gentlemen, nerds and neckbeards.
Nerds and neckbeards.
Welcome to another episode of Westworld. Wheneverly.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Tana.
What's going on?
Not so much. Not much has happened since last week, but we have successfully spinned ourselves off.
We have.
Is that the correct word? Spun?
Yeah, I've been. Yeah,
spin?
no, we're spinning ourselves off.
Spinning ourselves
I think
off.
it has to be
Continue that.
just like that. Yeah.
All right, so we've successfully spinned ourselves off. We are now doing a show about Westworld.
Yep.
For those of you who are wondering what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So today,
Episode 2.
we're going to go through. So if you didn't listen to the last episode, we're going to go through the first season as fast as we possibly can.
Pretty much an episode a week is
probably
how this is going to go.
And then hopefully we'll be done in time. I didn't do the math.
For season 2.
For the first season of season 2, right.
Man, it's going to be... I'm already so excited. And I already missed so much. So... One observation.
Yeah.
These episodes are huge. There's so much in each episode.
Yes.
Last week's episode, the first episode, is just sprawling, right? Like, they do a tremendous job, and this week's episode was the same.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very contrast to Game of Thrones, where, like, a lot happens, but not a lot happens at the same time.
Yeah.
If that makes
any
sense whatsoever.
It has more of the, like, soap opera feel, I guess, you know, because you were following all the characters. So just a different animal, but it's so good. What is it called? What is the title of episode 2, Dave?
It's called, dun dun dun, The Chestnut.
And what's a chestnut? What is chestnut? What's chestnut mean?
They're boobies, right?
I've never called boobies chestnuts.
But now that you think about it,
I'm trying to think if I even would consider certain boobs chestnuts. Like,
they are
I
the
don't
nuts
think,
of the chest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but like, no, it's not. It's not working for me. I mean, so not boobs.
They're like balls, but on your chest, right? Yeah. They're the nuts of the chest.
Maybe this is maybe. No, it's just not working for me, man. That's not.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll let it slide. But tell us what we're drinking.
Oh, so I'll tell us what we're drinking after we talk about what chestnut is.
Oh, okay.
It's 3 things. A chestnut is 3 things. What is it?
Well, you already know what I think it is.
Yeah, boobie is not one of them. It's a color. The color chestnut is an appropriate way to. It's a certain type of horse color. Okay. But you also have like the chestnut brown.
You could say it's a chestnut mare. Okay.
We've got the chestnut itself. The nut, right, is a chestnut, and that is the fruit of the chestnut tree, right?
It's a fruit.
It is. Well, in the way that like nuts are fruits, or nuts.
So you mean like the way a cashew is a fruit, and then a cashew nut is like the nut of the fruit?
Similar, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know what a cashew tree actually looks like, but I know that it's a
thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. So let's go with that. It's a thing.
So why did they call this episode Chestnut?
That's a great question.
Why were there any chestnuts in this?
I don't recall any chestnuts.
Nobody ate chestnuts?
There were some boobies in it.
There were a lot of boobs.
So
there was some sexual proclivity. We're going to get to that threesome. But so I started wondering about chestnuts because I wanted to do a drink tie-in. Okay. Right? That's my whole deal.
That's your thing.
And I don't like the flavor of chestnuts, and so I was like, it just had sort of chestnut on the mind. So I was like, well, why would they call this episode a thing? This old chestnut. Old chestnut. That's a thing. And do you know what an old chestnut is? It's a literary term. Do you know what it means?
I mean, I'm going straight back to boobies. Because, I mean, let's be honest. I'm a dude.
No, this is not about old boobs. Old chestnut, Dave, here's the definition of old chestnut, is a subject, idea, or joke that has been repeated so often that it's not funny anymore. Think about that in relation to what happens in this episode.
So my boobies reference is starting to become an old chestnut.
Yes, actually, that's appropriate. That's an appropriate use of the word old chestnut. And so if we just put old in front of it, old chestnut, then it becomes this joke that isn't funny anymore. And part of what we're seeing in this whole episode are this sort of dehumanization of these robot people. Teddy gets blown away sort of mid-conversation, mid-emotional conversation with Maeve towards the end of the episode. That knife goes into the old drunk guy's hand. There's just like graphic violence in here, but they sort of like, but the violence happens in the middle of these really human acts. And so it's this repetition of, a joke or something that just isn't funny anymore. And I thought that's perfect. This must be what they're after. So, what are we drinking?
What are we drinking?
We're drinking old fashioned.
Old fashioned.
Old chestnut, old fashioned. Okay. It just made sense.
It made sense.
We, in our iteration, our Westworld Wheneverly iteration.
There you go.
We've got fancy bitters from Woodford Reserve. They're sassafras and sorghum flavored bitters. And
whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, it's it says Sassparilla on one of the background things. So I thought this is the perfect flavored bitters to be using. And so it's whiskey and crushed ice and a twist. You did a perfect job twisting the orange,
Thank you.
And like the citrusy orange zest that sort of like oils came out. It was just really great. So cheers, buddy.
Cheers. This drink looks like nothing to me.
This drink looks like nothing to me. Oh, yeah. See, that is a classic cocktail. What do you think?
It's all right. I liked it more earlier. I took my first sip earlier, and I was like, this ain't so bad. This ain't half bad, Tana.
It's going to be delicious.
The more and more I drink it, the more and more I'm like, this is kind of nasty.
It's not. It's going to be good. It's an old chestnut. It's a classic.
It's an old chestnut.
So we open on Dolores at the farmhouse and the tree, and it's nighttime. She's walking out behind the shed, and we hear Bernard say, "Wake up, Dolores. Do you remember?" Right?
Right.
And then we're introduced to a dead man. That's how I saw it. It's the reflection of the young man, William, right? Billy. And I wondered, when I first see this is our first introduction to this new character.
Right.
And is it a photograph? Is this Dolores's memory, right? Like, we're told, wake up, do you remember? And then we see this reflection of this guy.
Yes, FYI, spoilers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to spoil everything.
Yeah.
Except I don't...
Because this is our rewatch.
Right.
So we're treating it as a rewatch,
Yep.
so just FYI.
And so she sees this thing, and then we're, not in her memory.
Right.
We are in the train, in this super sleek, white, modern train.
Yep.
With Billy or William and the asshole.
Right.
Whose name is Logan. But, like, these two dudes that seem like polar opposites on this super fancy train.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I definitely did not pick up the whole, like, flashback, multiple timeline deal.
Oh, of course not.
And I think they did a great job with that. But now on the rewatch, you're, like, listening to these subtle clues.
Yeah.
And, you're right. The Bernard thing, like, do you remember? And then it's... boom, flashback.
And so she's like, and so we're wondering, so I'm paying attention in this rewatch to all of the transitions that they do. So the sort of like, how did they make this really awesome thing happen?
Right.
And so this episode is full of these kind of transitions that have the audience wondering, when am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
Right.
Have they changed scenes completely? So it wasn't Dolores remembering this time in her own life. It was a transition between Dolores and William. Right. And so we're on the train, two guys, there's a gorgeous stewardess, and the other guy says, she's a 2 where we're going. And he says, fuck you. And he goes, that's the spirit. So we get this like animosity between these two dudes.
Yeah, you already know that there's some issue between them, right? One guy's clearly an asshole, and the other guy's kind of just being a person. And
so this is I think that I recognized on my first watch, and certainly I was paying attention on this watch, this is the entrance to the park. This is how guests get to the park. You don't just appear on the old-timey train.
Right.
They're coming in on this very fancy, modern, sleek train.
Yeah, and something interesting that I noticed was in the first episode when they go to the sub-level to deep storage, you actually see that train station.
Do you?
And the escalator and the giant W.
Oh, yeah,
so it's really interesting how it's potentially... like, that lobby, right, has been abandoned in the future.
Oh.
And they're using now some other method.
Yeah.
Or some other lobby.
Right.
Because definitely in the first episode, when they go to sub-level and they open the garage, there's like the 2 escalators and the pillars and stuff.
Everything is buried.
Everything is buried.
I love this so much, Dave. I love this so much.
Yeah, it's interesting because of what we know happens at the end, where what happens at the end.
It's like we're trying not to spoil it. We know, right, that Logan and William.
Yes.
That William is the Man in Black.
Man in Black, yeah.
And that this is William's first time at the park, and we met him on what is his now time at the park.
Correct.
Okay, and throughout the whole series, like that's the finale, right? Like you realize this towards the very end of the show.
Yeah.
And so what they're being very careful, maybe not even too careful, they're being very careful to try to keep it so that it seems to me, if I'm watching it for the first time, that that this is the current timeline, that these two guys are showing up right now, that all the stuff that happened in last week's episode just happened.
Right.
We've got the new storyline. So when there was the Union Army recruiting and all this stuff, they're rolling out a new army, or a new storyline rather. Yep. And so I think that they're doing these sorts of things kind of intentionally. They arrive, and this is our welcome. There's a gorgeous woman. Logan's like, where we're going, she's a 2. He's such an asshole. And then
she was pretty hot.
Yeah, and then this sort of shy boy comes in and is going up the escalator with a person that you're like, is this
a robot? Is this right? Everyone's wondering, and in fact she even says it at one point. She goes, I know you want to ask. So ask.
Yes. Oh, the lines in this. There's some really clutch dialogue in this that I really, really liked. They're riding up the elevator and she's giving us the lay of the land. She's asking him all these questions about sort of like, do you have any allergies? Do you have any heart conditions, anything like that? And he's like, why do you need to know all this stuff about me? And she goes, because we want to be sure to not give you anything you can't handle. You're going to start in the center of the park. It's very simple and straightforward. The further out from the center you go, the more intense the experience.
Yeah, so this is the first time that we actually get like an explanation of
any kind of explanation of the rules.
We hear a little bit about that in the first episode, if I recall correctly, where someone makes a comment like,
"It's boring in town.
Let's go outside," or something along those lines.
It was the frat boy party where they had.
Yes, that's right. They come
Teddy
in.
is sitting outside.
Teddy's sitting outside. And they're like, "Oh, the real adventure begins across the river," or whatever,
We can use him as target practice.
And the little boy, the family, they say
that's right, and they're like, you can't go across the river or whatever.
It's too adult for him.
And so we get the sense that inside this park there are going to be different areas, but none of it has ever been really explained at all.
Right. So this is the first time we're getting an explanation. It's
the opening of episode 2.
Yeah.
So,
perfect.
This is a good time.
Yeah, they hook you with some action in the first one, and now they're like, all right, we're going to now explain everything to you.
Yep. And so he says, well, is there an orientation or something? And she goes, no.
That's half the fun.
Figuring out how it works is half the fun. You just make choices. Oh my God, I love it so much. Starting here, everything, and then starting here, she says, and opens the door, and they're in that dressing room. It's like a big, sort of huge walk-in closet feel. And she goes, everything is bespoke and just your size. You want to ask, so ask. Question, Stump Dave.
Yes.
What does...
Don't know. I know what you're going to ask, so ask.
What does bespoke mean?
Fake? Bespoke. Created? I don't know.
It means custom made.
I knew it. That was good.
Bespoke means custom made. So you have a bespoke suit. Everything in here is bespoke and made just for you. And so, so we've got Chestnut, we've got Bespoke. This is going to be our spelling bee test. Definitions test.
Definitions test.
Anyway, and then she says to him, you want to ask, so ask. And do you know what she says?
I forget what she says. She says, am I one of them or something, right?
And she says, if you can't tell, then what's the difference? Which is a huge question in this whole thing. Like, this is the whole shit. What's real? Yeah. What is real? And what is fake? What do those terms in this context, when you can't tell the difference, what do those terms mean?
Right.
Oh, I love it.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think she's a host? Or do you think she's a real person? I mean, she makes the next thing she says is like, we can spend time here, like insinuating that we can just fuck.
Yep.
Right.
And she goes, I think she says she's a host or insinuates that she's a host.
I think she insinuates it. She never comes out and says it, which is interesting.
What does she say? She says, if you can't tell, and then because she starts to undress him and like puts his hand on her lower back and like presses her own body into him and says, everything in this park is designed for your like gratification, for your experience, including this. Yeah. Everything is here for you, including me. Is what something like that. And he's like, I better go check on my friend. I'm all set.
My friend is waiting for me.
Yep. Do you know the definition? Last definition, I promise. Or at least of things that I've written down.
For now. Okay.
Do you know the definition of the word real?
Ooh. Not imaginary. I know that because I'm an engineer, so I do maths.
Yeah.
And we have imaginary numbers in maths.
Yeah.
So a real number is not imaginary.
I love this. I wrote down 2 of the meanings of the word real.
Okay.
Is as actually existing as a thing or occurring in fact, not imagined or supposed. So a thing that is existing. Actually existing as a thing.
So a robot is real.
That makes her real, right? And then here's the second definition that I think gets a little hinkier and a little more to the heart of what I think this show is all about. Definition 2, not imitation or artificial. That would seem to preclude them. They're artificial.
Right, they're artificial.
They're imitation. They're created. But then there's this word, semicolon, genuine. This is the thing, man. Like we're on the razor's edge here. And this is the opening, right? Yeah. Then he walks through this long hallway and there's that mahogany door at the end. Everything is...
But the best...
before
we get to that part, the best
that's right.
is she says there's one more choice.
That's right.
And there's 2 sides of the wall.
Yeah.
There's a white hat and a black hat.
This is a scene that sticks with you, man.
Oh my God.
There's a wall of black hats. There's a, fedora and cowboy hat, and there's a straight brim. Yep. And then there's the white hats on the other side. There's straight brim and cowboy hat and 10-gallon. And so you pick your outfit, you pick your perfectly custom made hat, whatever it is, like you get your whole look together.
Not only is this a look, this is a direct synonym for good and evil.
Yes.
I mean, white hat, black hats is a term used all the time when talking about nefarious agents versus good agents. It's
what's that show? Kirsten Love's Scandal, the one with Olivia. Anyway, and she's all about white knights or white hats. She calls them white hats. So it's a thing, and he chooses
a white hat.
A white hat,
which is very interesting because we absolutely this is. If you're watching the first episode, right, you see the man in black.
Yep.
And he's wearing a black hat.
I mean,
right?
his horse is black. Shirt is black. Tie is black. Pants are black. Gun is black. Gun belt's black. Everything is black.
Right. And so this is what I think they do really well in the show is we're basically eventually, I hope, to see his transformation from this white hat, this good guy, into this really nefarious, deep guy. But we don't know it.
But we don't know they're the same guy.
Yet,
and they're doing a really good job of making it seem like those 2 timelines are happening at the same time. So they're different people. And also they are sharply different human beings.
In fact, my first time watching through...
Logan is wearing black.
Yeah, Logan is wearing black and he's wearing a black hat.
Yeah.
My first time watching through, I almost thought, these guys are going to meet up and be antagonist, protagonist with each other.
He's going to be a hero.
Will is going to be the hero, right? And...
So Will chooses the white hat. He goes down this long hallway, which I thought was beautiful. The thing that I really like, one of the many things I really like about the show is they take their time on stage setting.
Yes.
There's a lot of time spent walking down that hallway as you approach that, country western mahogany door. And you can kind of hear music behind it maybe, or maybe you hear nothing and then he opens it and boom, you're in like a salon, you're in a bar, you're in a carpeted, wood-paneled, old-timey western bar, and there's a bartender with a handlebar mustache pouring you a dram. Cheers. This drink looks like nothing to me.
This drink looks like nothing to me.
And then you're there. And Logan walks in right after him, and the dude's like...
He's like zipping up his pants because he was just fucking the girl.
Did you see that? Did you see Logan put his arm around the dude when they first get to that platform? There's some sexual promiscuity here on display. Like, he picks a girl... And then he picks a dude, and they go up the escalator before William goes up the escalator with the one lady.
Right.
And I just...
Anyway. We see later in this episode, he's lying naked with a dude and a girl.
There's a dude, two girls, and one of them is slapping him in the face while the other one rides him. Yeah. And the dude is, like, next to him, kind of soft petting him.
Here, Logan.
And so then Logan's there, and William's like, well, how do we get into the park?
And boom.
It starts moving. The room just fucking moves. You're on the train. Yeah. And that's how you get into the park. And it's beautifully done. It's brilliantly done.
So what's interesting too is that we know that that's one way to get in the park. Mm-hmm. But then we also know we find that there's another way, right? Because Ford goes up this elevator in the desert or in the middle of the sand.
Yeah.
Right? And he walks out and he meets little Ford,
yeah, that's right.
Animatronic Ford. I'm going to call him Animatronic Ford.
All right, little Ford. I love that he's like, can we call him like Britpop? Or no, Britpop is going to be the annoying writer. Because he has like that accent, you know, he's like a little Londoner. He's like Oliver Twist.
Yeah, right.
Please, sir, can I walk with you through the desert?
Can I have another?
On the train, Logan says something like, you think you know what this place is, but you don't have a clue. Yeah. You don't even know. I love that. I don't know if they, let's see. Here's what he says. The Wild West Barn Train, Logan says, I know you think you have a handle on what this place is going to be. You have no idea. This place is the answer to the question that you've been asking. And he's like, what question have I been asking? Who you really are. And I love the idea, man.
Yeah.
Westworld reveals your true nature. Play it out. Who are you? What's the first thing you do? Man. You get off that train. The big guy bumps into you. Dave just looked left. He just looked right. There are no girlfriends in sight.
There's no girlfriends here. What do I do? You know what?
Like, what appeals to you about the park?
I think if I was there, I honestly would go on one of those adventure quests. Like, I would get sucked in. I don't know if I'd help the guy up, or anything like that. But I think I definitely would be like, let's go hunt some Indians, or let's go find some treasure.
Right.
And then what eventually happens, I don't know.
That's what you're into, the adventure.
The adventure, yeah.
I love that everything was set up to ensnare them. There's the big guy that bumps your shoulder when you first come in. There's the drunk that falls off the back of the wagon.
Yeah.
There's the fizz
can
pop.
that rolls across
the
from
can,
Dolores. Well,
it's all made to invite you into something. The first time I watched this,
the first thing I thought to myself was, because I play a lot of video games, I was like, oh, this is like an MMO RPG, a massively multiplayer online role-playing game where all of these guys are basically quest givers, right?
Yep.
They're trying to bring you into their storyline to complete some quote-unquote quest. And we see this, in video games, typically it's a dude standing there with an icon above his head and you go talk to him and there's a story, right? And if he's like, go kill 10 boars and come back to me.
Right.
But this is obviously the next level of that, right?
Right.
And it's a drunk that you help up and he goes, oh, that was mighty fun. I know there's some treasure and we can tell that Logan's been here before, right? Because he goes, oh, he's just going to try to draw you into some stupid treasure quest. Come on, let's keep going.
He'll still be here for you tomorrow or, the next time. Right now, you're going to go buy me a drink. It's nice to have this experience as a new person there and then have some shitty friend that's like trying to direct you through it.
Basically, he wants to go fuck.
Yeah.
And he wants you to go fuck.
He wants you to go fuck. That's right. Yeah. And I love it so much. So right from that scene.
Whoa.
Yo, okay, please, yeah.
You can't ask me like, what are you gonna do, and then not tell me what you would do.
I mean, I just want to go talk to Maeve forever.
I was gonna say, I was like, I know exactly where you're going.
Put me in the whorehouse, and there's whiskey there, and there's a bunch of ladies. Like that's my jam.
That's your jam.
That's my jam.
With the chestnuts.
No chestnuts. Chestnuts are the worst. They're like hard, brittle little nuts that pop open. It's
they could
gross.
be really soft.
They're
and
not.
supple.
There's
and,
nothing soft about a real chestnut.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
I understand you're trying to make the correlation, but I just think you're gonna dislocate your arm with that stretch. You're just stretching too much.
That was good. That was good.
What else stuck out to you about the episode?
Oh, well, like I said, I think we learn about the other entrances to the park.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big...
It seems like Ford has his own... I mean,
we
I
already know
that,
Ford is like
yep.
God, right?
We've already
established that in the last episode, and I think that's something that he plays on, right? Because he goes to...
He mentions it again in this episode.
He goes to this kid, and he basically walks around with him, and then at some point he's just like, kid, beat it. And the kid's like...
He turns him off. And that
away.
whole scene... So, let's talk Ford.
Let's talk Ford. Your namesake.
My namesake. So, early in the episode, Bernard and closet case lesbian who kissed the prostitute are colleagues. Yes. And the closet case says to Bernard, we know what the problem is. It's the reveries. We need to pull these people out. And we need to decommission Maeve. We need to, we need to shut this whole thing down. If it's like this, then it can spread like a virus.
See, that was a really interesting thing.
Brilliantly done.
And we have to talk about it because we talked about it. But so they make that statement, and then very soon after, we see Dolores whisper to Maeve, "Yes, these violent ends have violent delights," and like. Boom, like a trigger.
Can I just play? I know that I forgot to play this earlier.
Yes.
But I did make a little sound clip.
Okay.
This is from the What Happened Last Week, sort of the sound clip.
In case you missed it.
Okay.
It's the code you added, sir. The reveries. It has some mistakes. Found this in the field today.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
Your father whispered something to you. What was it?
These violent delights have violent ends.
We're miles beyond the glitch here.
What do you want?
There's a deeper level to this game. You're gonna show me how to get there. Last question, Dolores. Have you ever heard a living thing?
No.
Oh, the slap of the fly at the end.
Did you ever lie to us? No. Would you ever hurt a living thing? No. Slap. Bam. These violent ends, these violent delights have violent ends. Yeah. And so the dad had said that to Dolores last week. That's and right. Then she's looking at the picture and says, this picture looks like nothing to me. And now she's glitching out. Yep. She's remembering stuff. Yep. The whole the theme of the thing is dreams or subconscious or remembering.
Yeah, and she says it to Maeve, and then Maeve starts glitching out and start remembering.
What was she remembering? Oh, this is the first time Dolores is standing in the center of town. She's sort of backlit. Her hair, her blonde hair looks golden and sort of halo. Yep. And in front of her is dead. Carnage.
Everyone is dead.
A street going off into the distance that is just littered with dead bodies. Yep. And was that a wolf or was that a husky? Like a Alaskan husky?
It's supposed to be a coyote.
Oh, is it? It looked like a loping
maybe
wolf.
not. It did look more like wolf.
I was like, oh, he got another job working on.
Wolf. Yeah,
exactly. I'm just glad to see that actor can still get work at HBO. They like keeping it on.
Well, they didn't show him in any single episode in episode 7 in season 7, so he needed to find work elsewhere.
It was still in his contract. That's right. Oh, I fucking love it so much. So the closet case says that she wants to pull Dolores. We know Dolores is trouble. The audience knows that Dolores is trouble because she killed that fly. And the closet's case says to Bernard, we know what the problem is. Yeah, it's the reveries. I talked to Ford. I know. She says, you covered for him. Yeah. You lied for him. And then we transition to Dolores because she's like, we need to pull her out of circulation. She could be infected with a virus. It could spread. And then it transitions right to the town center. Dolores is starting her day. She stops. She flashes back. Yep. We see the carnage in the street, the bloody bodies and everything. And then
Maeve walks up to her and says something
then suddenly, it just moves and Maeve is right next to her. And she's like, what does she say?
She says something like, can you not stand in front of my whorehouse? I don't want patrons to think that this is indicative of what of what's on the inside. Which is ridiculous because Dolores is like the hottest one.
She's so lovely, but it's just like, get out of here, girl next door. We don't need you.
Yeah, right.
And so Dolores, still looking like dead-eyed badass.
Yeah, just reaches into her ear basically and says these violent ends or these violent delights
have violent ends. And then like you see her face change and she sort of goes back to her programming and then smiles and goes back along her day, and Maeve has been hit by a ton of bricks.
Yep.
And then we follow Maeve for a little while.
Yeah.
Right? There was an unfamiliar male voice. So following the threads of God, when Dolores transitions to that scene, there's a voiceover that's a male voice that I don't recognize.
Wasn't it her father?
Was it her father? Because he says, remember. And then there's screaming, the thing about the streets where all the bodies were. There was also screams everywhere.
Right. Yeah, maybe it wasn't her father now that I think about it.
Let's pay attention. Just put a pin in it and like think because I listened for it at the end of the episode when she uncovers the gun that she finds buried in the backyard.
That's right. Yeah.
We only hear her half of it. She says, where is it? Over here? Something like that. And we don't hear the inside voice anymore. So I only got the one thing. And I don't know. These violent delights have violent ends. And so the disease has now spread to Maeve.
Yeah.
And now
she
Maeve's
starts hallucinating about what appears to be her daughter, and some people like raping her horses in her town, and then eventually we find out that it's the man in black who busts down the door. But
so there's like savages. This very scary looking Native American that has the bottom of his face is all white and sort of dried paint and then red streaks, and it's very sinister looking, and he's looking in the windows, and Maeve has found the shotgun shells and she's loaded the double barrel, and the kid is like crying next to her, and they slide down the wall, and then we see the bad guy and he sees her through the window, and then he goes to the front door and he opens the front door, and it's the man in black.
Yep.
And then Maeve is shooting him. She shoots him twice and realizes that, her thing doesn't work. So, like, this couldn't have happened 30 years ago because 30 years ago, William was not the man in black. The man in black exists right now.
Right.
So what the fuck is she dreaming? Is this a hallucination? Is she seeing the future?
I don't know.
What is that moment?
It's a great question, right? Because we don't understand how that's possible.
And like, if we're being sticklers to the timeline, that's impossible. She's never met the man in black, or like wouldn't have him in that context, or if she does, is that a premonition? That hasn't happened yet.
No, now that I think about it, I don't think she sees the man in black until the very, very end.
Yep.
In which case we see her pulled out of service and she's like running around.
To this point, she hasn't seen the man in black. Like, to this point, we've never been in that house, seen the daughter.
We don't. So we haven't.
We haven't.
She is freaking out.
Oh, so it could have happened with the man in black
in one of the previous timelines,
in a more recent timeline. I don't remember all of it, so I have to. Yeah, but I thought this is a genius way to confuse the audience. Clearly, I'm confused.
Which they did.
Yeah,
brilliantly,
and throw me off the scent of these two guys are actually the same guy.
Person, right. Yep.
Let's see. So
that's actually a good question. I think we should not only pin that, but we should pose that to our listeners. Keep in mind about this potential hole in this timeline, because now that I think about it, you're absolutely right, because she goes crazy. Dolores whispered in her ear, we believe that's
the code, the unlock, because everything is verbal commands. And, well, not everything. There's also hand commands because of what Ford does with the rattlesnake.
So the glitching that Bernard, the reveries, is happening during the Man in Black's time.
Yep. Yes. Right. But isn't it buried? Wasn't there code or something that his partner embedded into the subconscious?
Yes, but the reveries are like this. That whole thing is happening in the current, in what we're considering the current timeline. And the
timeline that has William and Logan is the 30 years ago timeline.
Correct. So the Maeve having flashbacks of the Man in Black is still possible.
Yeah. We're just going to have to keep an eye on it. And if you listeners have any insight, obviously email us. What is our email?
It's still westeroseWheneverly@gmail.com.
We love questions. We love communication. You can
Yes.
also tweet us. So we've got the Man in Black. So Maeve, we could stay on Maeve for a little while, but the Man in Black. So we see him right after the first entrance to the thing. William and Logan are on the train. The train is rattling.
Yeah.
Logan says, "You think you know what this place is, but you don't have a fucking clue."
Yeah.
And then we transition to the Man in Black, and he's with a bunch of bad guys, and there's a dude that's about to be hanged.
Yeah, he rolls up on a sheriff about to hang some guys, and he makes some comment like, I'm just here to talk to my friend Lawrence or something. And,
I know everything about you, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Lawrence is like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's got a little blindfold on. He's standing on the gallows.
Yep. The sheriff's like, "I'm going to have me and my boys take you out." And the Man in Black's like,
I would like some words with him. And he's like, "You can have all the words you want after I stretch out his neck."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, that's not going to work for me." And he goes all cowboy on him. Reveals his gun. And then Lawrence is like, "Do I know you?" And then he starts shooting. One of the best things about this scene was they set it up. And you see all the, sheriff's men, and you see the guy about to be hanged, and he unveils the Man in Black unveils his gun, and then the camera just and he's like, "All right, we're doing this," and then he pulls out the gun, and the camera just pans over to Lawrence with the noose around his neck,
and he hears the shots, and he's just
and he's
flinching.
jumping the whole time, and so everything is happening off camera, and it's just Lawrence's twitchy reaction to the bloodbath, and I think that's so perfect. You can, in your mind, see whatever kind of acrobatics you want or any cowboy shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then he just massacres all the guys, takes down the blindfold, and Lawrence is like, "Do I know you?"
He takes him back to his hometown.
Yeah, what
And this
was
part is
that?
interesting, right?
It was so interesting.
So, he's about to massacre a whole bunch of people, right? And before we talk about what actually happens in The Man in Black, I want to talk about the security guard.
Yeah.
Someone says to the head security guard guy, goes, "This guy just massacred a whole bunch of people."
His name is G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe?
Yeah, he's G.I. Joe.
"This guy just massacred a whole bunch of people. Should we slow him down?" And G.I. Joe goes, "No, that guest gets whatever he wants."
Yes, and so we still don't know who Man in Black is, but we know he's important.
That's
he's
right.
well known to these guys.
Well, he says he's
a high roller.
He's been coming here for 30 years. He must be spending a lot of money. Right.
Let's see. And so let me see. I've got some stuff on Maeve. I mean, this is the introduction to Maeve, who becomes, I think, the main character. Dolores stays a main character. Teddy's a main character, right? And then, our human characters, Ford and everybody. But for whatever reason, Maeve is, to me, the most compelling of all of them. And this is her sort of awakening. What do you make of the wake yourself up in 3, 2, 1? What's that?
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think it's something that they wrote into her code, right?
To be able to wake herself up?
No, I think it was a story. It's all story.
Yeah.
Just to deal with nightmares. But I think
they say that at some point.
She starts believing it. And it's interesting because it basically wakes her up when she's on the operating table. And the two fucking Tweedledee and Tweedledum
Great
are
scene.
like,
Great
"I thought you
horror."
put her in sleep mode.
And he's like, "Clearly you didn't!"
Yeah,
and they're
right.
ready to fight her. And she's, there's a horror movie element to this whole show, right? There's a lot of tenets of horror and science fiction.
Yeah.
And this scene where Maeve wakes up, has a gash, bleeding, can feel her own guts, has, is a completely alien environment, gets up, runs out, and
Grabs
just
a
the
scalpel,
world
runs out.
gets stranger and stranger. She's outside. She's on a glass walkway that connects to another building. When she gets close to the glass doors, they open.
Yep.
And then we walk down that hallway with her. This is a perfect way to experience the horror and the dehumanization and the commoditization of these beings.
You see all these technicians
hosing them down,
throwing them in the fires.
just throwing the bodies as these naked mannequins essentially, and just spraying all the blood and guts off them, and she is sort of horrified. I think she's still bleeding, and so she's kind of glitching out.
She comes upon Teddy.
Yes, she sees Teddy, and then
Just goes to her knees.
yes, because she sees him. She recognizes Teddy in this completely glitched out nightmare
Alien
scenario.
That's right.
And then you're like, if you're like me, you're like, if I had nightmares nightmares like that. Rene Descartes was telling us about this. I think, therefore I am. What is existence?
What
is this
existence?
the Matrix?
Well, that's obviously what we're thinking, right? She goes to her knees. She sees Teddy. She's freaking out. And then, of course, Tweedledee and Tweedledee
she
come
loses
up
enough
behind her.
blood. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's right. They give a little...
They give her injection and
Yep.
they drag her back.
Yep. Oh my good God. Yeah. And then, and they were like, don't do anything to hurt her. Don't mess up her brain
Right.
or we'll have to do an accident report or an incident report and fill out too much paperwork.
Yep.
These two become just some of the best.
Oh, they're great.
I mean, they're just, this is our Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the show.
Oh my God.
For sure.
Great.
For sure.
Metaphor. Similarity. Simile. Whatever.
It's just so degrading. And that scene, the Maeve escaping scene, and the hosing all the creatures down, amplifies the horror. But right after that, Dolores asks, "Here?" And so this is what, this is the scene before the end. Yeah. And then Britpop, and then she uncovers a buried gun, which is going to be important.
And so people obviously are thinking, right? Well, guns can't hurt humans, right? But then why would this one be buried randomly,
right?
Which is important for later on in the show.
We got to talk.
Let's jump back to Man in Black.
Yes, please. Let's do it.
Right. So he's sitting around talking to Hector, right, or Lawrence.
Yep.
And he makes the comment like, Lawrence, this is what I love about this place. Ever since you realized something, you learn something new.
Yeah.
It's like, in all of my adventures, you never once mentioned your family.
Yeah, and it's like he's learning something new, and Lawrence isn't giving up anything. You know, Lawrence is like...
Stone cold.
Yeah, and his programming.
And then all of a sudden, here comes wife and kids.
This is a perfect gamer, right? Like, this guy is the perfect gamer.
Yeah.
He's sitting there, and, the bartender runs inside to go get the whiskey or whatever. And he's like, sorry, it took you a long time to get back out here. And he's like, well, I had to get the
Crown Reserve. He goes, had to get the Crown Reserve for our distinguished guest. And he goes, yeah, it didn't help that you also called Hector's cousins back there.
That's right. Gave you enough time to call in the reinforcements, Hector's cousins.
That's right.
While you were back there. And there are some really awesome, just cowboy shenanigans about the show.
I mean, it's clear you can see that this guy's done this before. Yep. He's come to the town with Lawrence. Sorry, Lawrence's cousin, not Hector.
Yep.
Comes to town with Lawrence, right? But this is the first time he finds the family, the wife and kids.
This seems new. This is sort of off reservation already. And I did not remember that this happened so fast. Right? Like, I thought that this storyline was going to play out for a while.
Right.
The way that I, binge watched it and then am now sort of all of the memories are jumbled together. This is episode 2.
Yes.
We are getting a ton of information.
So much.
In episode 2. That whole firefight, he dances, he waltzes very slowly after he kills everyone. There's a great shootout scene. He takes, this is so, choreographed. He has his 6-shooter. Or whatever, 8-shooter.
8-shooter, I think it is. He's putting his...
Yeah! He's lining up the bullets. Waiting for the whiskey. And then takes 2 of the bullets, puts them in the little,
daughter's hand.
10-year-old girl's hand, closes her hands around 2 bullets, and says to Lawrence, you get to decide how those go. And then, spins his chamber and just starts cowboying up all over the place. Just all this showdown, and decides to go really... nasty with it.
He takes his giant knife, right? Sticks it in some guy's throat.
The machete, instead of just shooting everybody, he just makes it gross.
Yeah.
And he loves it.
He's loving every second of it.
And after he slaughters everyone, all the cousins, the guy in the bell tower hits him a couple times, but it's just dust that comes up off him because he can't hurt him.
Right.
And then he picks him off from far away, goes back to that little table, sits down. Lawrence's wife and the daughter. The wife and daughter are huddled around Lawrence. Lawrence is just glaring at him. And he's like, I'll take those 2 bullets now from the kid. You get to decide how these go. And he peels the wife off. Let's waltz. And they start dancing. And he's like, this is the thing about programming. Or whatever. You kind of start to see the cracks.
Yeah.
But there's still stuff. This is the subtlety that Ford at the end will talk about. It's the subtlety that keeps them coming back.
Right. It's the little things.
Yeah. And so he's played this game. He sees the cracks, but there's still stuff that this guy, that solved all the puzzles but one, is finding. And so he's waltzing with the wife and,
He kills her.
Yeah. Violence.
He shoots her right in the head.
Yep.
And then I think Lawrence says something like,
I'm still not going to tell you or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know where the
maze is, right? But he does say, he says, what does he say exactly? He says, find where the rattlesnake lays its eggs.
No, so the daughter, the 10-year-old.
Oh, that's right. She like goes into a trance almost.
Yeah,
like
the 10-year-old goes into some sort of a... I don't know if she goes into a trance or if she makes a choice. Is she making a choice?
Yeah,
Lawrence isn't going to give it up. But then this kid, right, who...
This host.
Yeah,
right?
this host, this 10-year-old child host robot has just seen her robot mother murdered and is, with Lawrence, just sort of starts saying whatever where the rattlesnake eggs.
I think she says where the rattlesnake lays her eggs or something.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
Oh, yeah. So maybe that's our rattlesnake?
Well, no, our rattlesnake is the girl with the rattlesnake. We haven't met her yet.
Yeah.
We have not met her yet.
I forget everything. It's nice to have a brain full of Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I know, right? It also helps that we're drinking old fashions.
Oh my god, cheers. This drink looks like nothing to me.
Looks like nothing.
And your refrigerator makes crushed ice. Oh, I'm so jealous. It's delicious.
Well, some of us are fancy.
So fancy, David. We have to talk about Bernard and his girlfriend.
Yes.
And we have to talk about Bernard and Ford. This is getting into the meat of our good and evil shit.
Yes. Okay. So Bernard, goes and bums a smoke or something and says something like... I forget what they were discussing.
This character development is so lovely.
We think this whole time that they really hate each other, right?
Yeah.
They're always butting heads and stuff. And remember, guys, this is episode fucking 2.
And I feel like I've known these people for a lifetime. I feel like I really have a handle on Bernard and on Catherine is her name, or the CEO lady that smokes. And Britpop. I feel like I've spent a lot of time with these guys. I'm in the middle of episode 2.
Yeah. Episode 2, and
so
they're butting heads, and then all of a sudden they're sleeping together.
Yep. What does she say? Let me see if I can find the thing.
This is great because he's talking about. She says something like, "Oh, your creations, Bernard, they're always talking, even when no guests are around. Why?" And he makes the comment like, "Oh, it's kind of like practicing.
They're always trying to error correct."
Yeah.
That's what he says. They're always trying to error correct. Yeah. So this is why they interact with each other, because they're always trying to error correct. Yeah. And what does she say?
She says, "Is that what you're doing, Bernard?
Practicing?" And knowing what we know about Bernard, but we don't think that he is a robot, right? I didn't think he was a robot.
No.
And everything that fucking comes out of Ford's mouth is screaming, "You're a robot."
Yes.
All of it. And so I am mincing their dialogue, and it's brilliantly done. Bernard says to Ford, earlier in the episode, before that they sleep together scene, before we realize that they're lovers, that Catherine and Bernard are lovers, with this familiarity. And he keeps your eyebrow lifts up a little bit when you're angry or when you have a question, and he's always picking at these little things,
right? These
character traits. And she says, "You think that's a lot more charming than it is. It's not charming, Yeah. And so he has been designed with these quirks, right? But so he's talking to Ford, and Bernard is sad. He has just talked to the closet case.
Yep.
The closet case has her magic iPad that's showing her the dad that they just decommissioned.
Right, Abernathy. Yep.
Abernathy. And she says about him, it's like he's mulling it over, the photograph that he picked up. And as Bernard walks into this room where the closet case is reviewing her iPad, he's saying, well, what do you think this robot's having, an existential crisis?
Yeah.
Fucking yeah, they are. And she goes, no, he picked this. Most of them, when they have cognitive dissonance, like the sheriff, right? He couldn't beat the fly, he couldn't smack the fly, and he glitched out.
Right.
Most of them behave like that. They just shut down. He, instead of shutting down when this cognitive dissonance happened,
he went home.
He sat all night staring at this photograph, almost like he was mulling it over. He's a robot. What the fuck is he thinking about looking at he should just shut down.
Right.
And so Bernard's like, we know where the problem came from. And Closet Case looks at him and says, yeah, and you covered for him.
Yep.
And then in comes Ford. It's sometime later. And Bernard is, sort of distracted or distraught. And he says, you taught me how to make them, but not how hard it would be to turn them off.
Yeah.
And Ford, looking at his own creation of Bernard, he says, "You can't play God without being acquainted with the devil. There's something else bothering you, Bernard. I know how that head of yours works."
Yep.
Oh, it's all there in black and white.
It's right there.
Oh, of course you know how that head works. You fucking designed it.
That's right.
And the whole time, right? Like the actual God character was the partner, Ford's partner, that realized Arnold that realized years ago that this was morally bankrupt, that that conscious thought was capable in these machines.
Right.
That they had unlocked realness and existence and consciousness. And Ford, wanting to make money or, being upwardly ambitious or wanting something else.
Wanting just to continue to play God.
Yeah, rolled it back and wanted to hide that and ends up, having this falling out. So there's benevolent God and there's devil. And Ford is the devil. Yeah. And the devil survived and God died.
So it's interesting, because this is a watch through, do you think at any point sometimes we actually see Arnold when we think it's Bernard? Like interviewing Dolores?
I think it's Arnold's voice that Dolores hears. I think that's the voice that he says, remember. I think that's the male voice. I'll watch for it. Nothing else jumps out to me in my
Well, the only thing
memory
I
of
can
this
think
episode.
of is when, and maybe we'll talk about it when we get to it in the later episodes, but there's a couple scenes where we think Arnold is interviewing Dolores, is doing the questioning.
Yeah.
And we may be seeing some of that in now as Bernard.
Huh.
So just something to keep keep an eye out for.
So maybe they're transposing characters in the way that, like, maybe when Maeve is having a memory of that attack, she's transposing the man in black to it. So maybe where Bernard is, Dolores is transposing Bernard where Arnold was. I don't know. I'll look for it. It's too early for me to tell. I don't have any of the details.
What I'm thinking about is like there's this part of this episode where Bernard says, like, "Are you telling anyone about our conversations?"
That's the next scene. Yeah.
And so I'm thinking that's actually Arnold. That's a previous timeline.
Oh, I have to make a little note of that. I'm just going to write the word Arnold with a question mark. I'll be on the look for it because what we learn is that you can erase stuff.
Right.
We didn't know that before. So Ford says to him, "You can't play God without being acquainted with the devil. There's something else bothering you." And then he says, "We speak the right words," says Ford, "and we create life itself out of chaos." And it's so great. Then we go, to transition to Sweetwater. The two dudes are entering the park, Logan and whatever. Dolores sees her reflection at that time. So 30 years ago, Dolores sees her reflection. And she remembers. Like, there's a memory, right? So maybe this is what you're thinking is Arnold, because it's 30 years ago, because young William and Logan just got off the train. They're in Sweetwater. It says sassafras. Cheers.
Cheers.
All men must drink.
This drink looks like nothing.
This drink looks like nothing to me. And Dolores sees her reflection. She remembers, and it transitions as she's remembering to Bernard having these secret talks with her. Yeah. "You haven't told anyone about our talks, have you?" "Of course not. You told me not to." Yeah. "Did I do something wrong?" And they're kind of hashing it out. Bernard, against the rules, is talking to Dolores and trying to do what?
Right. I think it's Arnold.
And you think that she's remembering Arnold, and maybe Arnold has been blocked from her memory. And if it's 30 years ago, it would be Arnold having these talks with her. So maybe that's a scene that we'll see repeat in the future.
That's right.
And it is Arnold. Oh, I love it. Bernard's having the secret talks. Of course not. Delete your event log. Confirm. So interactions can be erased, and I did not catch that the first time through.
Yeah.
Not even close. And so there's things. So now, as of episode 2... 2/3 of the way through, we know that there's secret information the robots could have that we don't have.
Right.
Oh, I love it. Let's talk about, I think the last scene we haven't talked about is Ford, the rattlesnake, and the buried church.
Yes.
What do we remember from this? What did you think when you saw the kid at first?
When you see the kid at first, I think the first thing you think is that's a kid
Right.
who may be lost, right?
Just like because we saw the other kid with
Right.
his parents, and he's like,
Right.
my parents are back at the house, or my dad
and I
says
think
I'm bored.
soon, quickly, you realize this kid is fake.
Right.
I think.
When did you?
I think, okay, so at least on this watch through, I definitely realized, I think I would have realized when he started talking, because he kind of has that, like, Anthony Hopkins-esque, like you said,
You
London.
can once you're looking for it, you can see it.
Yeah, they're both wearing like white shirts.
They have
with
a
the
very-
vests
yep.
and the pants.
They have that
so you're
same
like,
look.
okay, this is something he created
Yep.
in his image.
A father and
What-
son, grandfather and
What's interesting though is you're right. The rattlesnake,
Yeah.
the maze apparently starts where the rattlesnake lays its eggs.
Yeah, what the fuck
And
is
this
this?
is symbolism.
Yeah, and
of
then
the rattlesnake.
There's a fucking rattlesnake.
Yeah.
We should have had an audio clip of that, of the rattlesnake clue or something. But I don't know. Who
that's
cares?
Okay.
The Ford and the kid asks, because the rattlesnake, Ford holds up his finger and the rattlesnake stops, like freezes.
Yep.
And the kid says, is it
that
magic?
Yeah.
And Ford says, everything in this world is magic except to the magician. And then he like does some hand shit and the
Rattlesnake
goes away. First it like dances a little bit, moves a little bit, sidewinds, and then he tells it to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And then something in Ford changes. He sees the black
Like
steeple.
burnt tower,
Yeah.
steeple, whatever it is.
And he tells the kid,
You better run along now or something.
and it's sort of like the kid, which could have been real, turns off.
Yep.
He drops his
Drops
walking
stick.
stick, stands up a little straighter, sort of robotic, and you won't return to this place. No, I won't return to this place.
Yep.
And off he goes.
Yep.
Oh man, it's so good, dude. It's so good. How does it end? Britpop's new storyline.
Oh, this is good. He's pitching this storyline. He's blah blah blah. He's going all off the rails. The guest wants it, adventure and
Yeah.
scandal and all this stuff. And
50 savages.
Yeah, and Ford just goes, no.
And Britpop's like, what?
What? Did you just say no?
And he was like,
The guest said, Ford says something like, "I'm working on something and it'll be revealed
he goes,
shortly."
well,
or
was
something.
was there any part of it that you liked? He goes,
Those
what
boots?
size are those boots?
Yeah.
And then he's wearing the boots and he's walking with Bernard out to the
Steeple area.
steeple, and he's
Yeah.
like, I've been working on this storyline for a long time. It's original.
Yeah.
It's gonna be magnificent. And that's how it ends. But I love that he just eviscerates little Britpop. And he says,
What does he say?
something about
says,
this
"This
doesn't
is not
tell
what the
me
guests
this
want."
does not tell me anything about, it's garish and it's violent and it's lusty, and but it doesn't tell me anything about the guests. It won't tell the guests anything about themselves.
Right.
This just tells me who
You
this
are.
reveals who you are, not who they are. That's why they come here, for the subtlety. Oh, it's so good.
What a great
it's so
show.
good.
So good.
It reveals something true in ourselves.
And that's the note we're going to leave you guys on.
I'm going to say the definition of real again, I think.
That's the note we're going to leave people
Yeah.
on. All right, people.
Do you have any final words before I take us out with the definition?
Oh man, the only final words I can think of really are just wow. Like,
So good.
So
I'm so
Lauren's
glad that
watching
we're
this
doing
for the
this.
first time.
Yep.
Right? And I'm trying really hard not to be like,
Right.
that's really important. Or
Right,
like,
right.
or like about to like watch her to see what her reactions
Stop
are.
crunching the popcorn.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
going to want to hear this.
Yeah, right. I'm trying really hard not to do that stuff. So I think I'm doing a good job. But yeah, it's just like, it's going to be really interesting because I know she's going to ask me a whole buttload of questions.
Yep.
Wait, what's going
can't
on?
give it away, man.
Yeah, and I just can't. It's really hard.
Now, what's she doing? She's
those are
not
my-
binging it. She's going to go like week by week. do
Yeah,
you think?
she's been going week by week with
If
me.
she
I
listens to
don't-
our podcast, we're spoiling it
She
for
does
her.
not.
Okay.
She does not.
She'll wait. Good.
She
good,
made
good.
the comment. I can't listen.
Yep.
Or
Good.
else I'll spoil it. And I said, yeah. Not that she listens anyway. She doesn't support my work. But yeah, so no real final words other than, man, Westworld is so good.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really good. And I can't
and
wait till
visually,
season 2.
it's stunning.
Yeah.
There was a
Oh, yeah.
moment, just a little nod to the props team or however they do this. There was a like white face, just an old man's face, a head on a plate, essentially, and
Oh.
it flushes with color. right? Like at some point, I don't know if it's filling up with blood or it's just coming alive. It's beautiful.
Yeah, she's like painting. They're making the people. That's a great scene where
so good.
Britpop comes in
Britpop,
and goes, I asked for something regal and you gave me a penis on his nose.
It's like you stuck a cock right between his eyes.
That's right.
Aquiline, royal.
Yeah, and then he goes and smashes it and says, do it over.
And there's this sort of dehumanizing violence to these things, right?
Yeah, it's kind of almost hard to watch because they look so human.
And they bleed, and they have these interactions. One of the things that Catherine had said to Bernard as they're fucking, or like maybe after or something, why do they talk to each other? And this is a great question. Why don't they just turn off?
Yeah, they're
And he says, they're always trying to error correct, but we see it as them connecting. Yeah. Teddy and Maeve, when they're in the Wild West saloon, Maeve has that bug in her.
Right.
She gets decommissioned by Closet Case Lesbian, but then recommissioned by the behaviorists. One of the behaviorists.
They give her all she needs is a little bit more aggression.
No, Closet Case saves her. Is it Closet Case that saves her?
So first they say
who decommissions her.
So first they say why is there.
They up her aggression.
They say, the guests just need to fuck her more or something. And then when they pull her out again...
It's like Britpop or somebody is doing it.
They pulled her out again.
Yeah.
And
maybe Guardman, G.I. Joe.
Closet Case comes out and says, what are these idiots in behavior doing? They gave her, or whatever. What are these idiots in tech doing? They gave her too much aggression. Let's give her some perception.
So Closet Case saves her.
Puts her back into commission.
See, I'm Closet Case in this, right? Like, she loves all the prostitutes.
Yeah, you are.
That's like, she's got a soft spot.
You fucked it up for everyone because we know what happens.
I don't remember what her storyline did.
Give us the definition of real, and let's close it up for the night.
Think about this. Real. Actually existing as a thing or occurring in fact, not imagined or supposed, and this one, not imitation or artificial, genuine.
Ladies and gentlemen,
nerds and neckbeards,
we are a genuine podcast, and we would bode that you all drink with us.
Dave, this drink
looks like nothing.